If you have knee pain, unfortunately, exercises like this and just having strong quads is not going to cut it. And what your knee doesn't need is a quick fix. It needs a long-term solution. You see, your knee isn't the problem. It's actually a victim of a system that's out of sync. So I'm going to take you through a couple steps and essentially show you how to look at the bigger picture and how to start to really teach your knee to actually be a knee. So just a couple of things before we play the video is ultimately this is a long-term solution, right? You're here because the simple fixes have not had any success. And a long-term solution requires a process. And in this process, what my job is to teach you how to use certain muscles that you've lost basically sensation of. Not that they're not there, not that they're not strong, but ultimately you've lost sensation of how to use them the correct way. This video specifically is going to target the hamstrings and how to use the hamstrings to pull the pelvis. That's going to pull the pelvis back. Think you're tucking your tailbone under to allow to ultimately redistribute your weight. Once we can redistribute your weight and you're more quote unquote centered, then we can talk about, okay, how do we now strengthen the knees, strengthen the quads, and teach them to work together to solve your pain. What you've probably been doing is foam rolling, stretching the IT band, doing some of these quads, strengthening, some step downs. But unfortunately, that's just kind of treating the output. What we're going to try to do today is kind of work more from the inside out and work on the input that the brain is receiving to better use the knee how it's supposed to be used. So one problem that's often missed is you're already usually quad dominant to begin with. If you think about a squat or any knee dominant motion, many times people gravitate and just go forward, which already is going to put pressure on the knees. So we need to teach you how to properly hip hinge and use muscles actually in the back to start to redistribute the weight to allow you to start to actually take some tension off of the knees. If you imagine me from the side, if I'm doing a squat and I just go this way, there's a lot of force going into those knees. Over time, obviously that's going to hurt. Versus me using my hamstrings and teaching myself how to hinge and then allowing the knees to go forward, that's not only going to distribute your weight differently, but it's going to also allow you to feel muscles versus just feeling knee pain. So this is the same process I actually take some of my clients through to start to get them to feel and sense more grounded, which is going to allow for them to just feel less knee pain. I actually have one client with Parkinson's that has had some knee pain for quite some time. It's taken some time, but by teaching him to sense his heels and really allow him to feel what he's doing wrong, slowly we're starting to progress and he's actually able to bend into certain degrees he hasn't been able to bend before. Mind you, he is a little bit older, so we're kind of spoon feeding him and kind of teaching him and taking him step by step. But if he can do it, I'm sure you can as well. So this is basically a drill that's going to allow you to stay more grounded. Ideally, if you can, you're going to have something below your heels here with your legs at 90 degrees. You want your feet to essentially rest on the wall, not push into the wall. Pushing into the wall is going to activate too much of your quads here. Remember, we're trying to start to teach the hamstrings to initiate and pull the pelvis in a better position, which is going to help redistribute your weight. To do this exercise, all you're going to do is take a breath in. As you exhale, you're going to take your hands and just basically bring your ribs down. You're going to feel your back flatten. As you do that, you're going to simultaneously pull your heels down and reach your knees up towards the sky. That should start to wake up these muscles back here. You don't want to feel too much pressure in your quads. You're pretty much doing all the work with the muscles back here. You also don't want to feel your calves. If you do, again, these are overactive or these are overactive. We just want these. Once you're in that position and you feel these muscles, all you're going to do is breathe here. You're going to take a slow breath in through the nose, 3 to 4 second inhale there, and then a nice big exhale. Let your air come out, push your ribs down, pause, slow breath in, exhale, and we're going to repeat that for 3 to 4 breaths. Now, an option you can do there is after you get the tuck is simply lift one leg at a time. That's going to challenge the back of one leg. You might even feel it up into the hip. We can do that for 3 to 4 breaths and do the other side for 3 to 4 breaths. So while this isn't fancy looking and doesn't seem like it's going to directly help the knee, we're thinking bigger picture here. We're thinking weight distribution. We're thinking internal sense of self of where we are in space. And we're allowing the bigger, more dominant, more important muscles, the hamstrings, to allow you to feel more grounded. That's going to translate in the weight room and in your squats and in your living to just having a better weight distribution. That grounded sense of even weight distribution is not only going to take kind of premature tension off your knees, but it's going to allow you to use other muscles in the hips, which are actually bigger, stronger again, to help you long-term with your knee pain. So again, this technique is early on in this kind of process of reteaching you how to use your hamstrings, quads, knees. I'm going to take it a step further in other videos and really dive deep into, okay, what do we do next? What we're basically doing here is we're addressing the neurology of why you have pain. We're not looking at just the biomechanics. We're taking it a step further, and we're diving deep into how can your brain resense redistribution of how your brain can, lack for better words, feel more grounded to allow it to use the muscles the proper way. This drill might seem elementary and pretty simple, but really what I want you to do is do it, be intentional, and then just walk around and see how you feel. Oftentimes in society, we lose sensation of those hamstrings, and those hamstrings are super important to ground us and to allow the pelvis and the feet and the femurs, basically your leg bones, to do what they're supposed to do. So give it a try and leave me some comments, leave me some questions, and look forward to additional videos to expand this process a little bit further.